Hello, and welcome to another week at the bungalow. Exciting times. We are starting the construction of the flat roof for the rear dormer. Big project, this one. So you'll see this all the way through from as it is today, where we're putting the boarding on, cutting the fairings, and then moving on to actually doing the wet on wet Ultraflex system that we use as the weatherproofing. So we had quite a lot of timbers to cut, I should say. So I made ourselves a frame. We're cutting all the fairings by hand. I know you can get them, your local timber yard to cut them up for you, and we did look into that initially. But when we're cutting them ourselves, we've got an odd size because we're going from 100mm down to 50 for the initial bit across the roof, and then the gutter is the 50 down to 0 to get us our full all the way across the roof, just because of the size. The roof's split into two by the architect, and it gives us that full across from the centre outwards. So the circular saw gets a new blade, and we're fairing cutting for a day. So process is string line across to give us our line, and then we're using the spacer and a batten. So we've got the sort of straightest batten we can, screwed every about 300mm along the piece of timber. And then we run the circular saw down the line. Even got some extract on the circular saw just to save ourselves a bit of sawdust in the face. Keep some of the mess to a minimum. So we used 150 by 50s. Cut on the diagonal, also marked at 100mm one end and 50 the other, so we didn't have any waste. And then these are moved upstairs. And then to save ourselves a bit of time, all the fairings get marked and drilled, ready for the screws. So we're spade bitting some of the distance through the timber. And then drilling the rest of the way. Screws go in, so as they get passed up they can be screwed straight down onto the joists. I think we had about 26 fairings in total across the roof space. It's about 10 metres by 3.5, the flat part. So OSB 18mm, 15 sheets. Lifted up initially onto the first floor, stacked up. This was tiring. And I think it was the end of the day that we did this. Well earned lie down for Claire. So the big day came. Time to get those fairings and board up onto the flat roof, so finally the tarpaulin can come off. Like fully off rather than just being rolled back while we're doing some work on it. So we actually removed it completely. And you can see the sort of space we're looking at. Like I say, about 10 metres by 3.5. So process was, as we worked across the roof, fairings go on, so we've glued the underside of the fairing. So we're gluing the fairings onto the roof joists. Then they get screwed down into the roof joists. So we've got a bit of a platform to work on, and then as we bring up the 18mm OSB, that'll give us something else to work from. So this is the worst bit, is sort of balancing between the joists, working on a small area. You're on a ladder. So the spacing as much as possible was for the OSB, so it sits across and ends halfway across one of the joists. I think we had just a couple of occasions when that didn't work out perfectly. And then once this is done, we run the other way with the board to fill in the last bit. So we're doing as much as possible down below or on the normal floor, so we're gluing the underside of the furring so we can just pass them up and stick them straight down. And then what you missed there was we ran a bead of glue across the top of the fairings and in the joint of the OSB, just to hold it all together. It's that polyurethane expanding type, so it fills up all the gaps, gives you a really good bond. And of course lunchtime with my chum. Best part of the day. With the best view in the house. But then back to the graft. And more of the same. Heading along. Top of the joist with the fairings, screwed down. And repeat. Oh, here you can see where we're putting the glue on. Great glue, but it is damn messy. Best to have some gloves on, otherwise you get black all over your skin. Strange stuff. Then we've got some 60mm screws holding it all down, screwing into the corners initially, and then working our way through the centres. By this time of the day, the old knees are starting to hurt. Kneeling on the hard OSB board, sliding around. marking the joists so we can get the screw holes in the right place. And then the last piece in this direction goes in. And then after the pieces going in the opposite direction, we did have to cut them down. I think we're 3.3 across here on the fairings. We've also got a gutter going on as well. So these all had to be chopped down, and then this is the last piece going in. And there you have it, a new flat roof. Well, some of it. And so the next day, we'll move on, we're chopping the roof joist down to length. So exactly the same process as we used at the front. We mark them up, level a line, and then we use the circular saw to cut through. Some of the thicker ones, or the tripled up joists, use hand saw in between, but as much as possible we use the circular saw. So the left exposed area there, or the right hand side exposed area, is where the gutter's going to be. So we've got a hidden box gutter that's going to be behind a parapet wall. This flows either way down to down pipes that are hidden in a boxed off section that'll also be rendered in white. So at this point we're making the parapet wall for the front edge. We've got a string line stretched across and measuring down to the joists. Then we just give ourselves some 150 by 50 up stands that hold the top of the parapet wall. So here's where we've got an overlap. So we're giving ourselves plenty of meat to screw into on the overlap. And then we've got supports about every 600. So this will be where the concrete board will come up one side, we'll have our roofing system coming up the other side, and then we'll have aluminium capping going across just to watertight the whole lot. So this is where the two tie together. Claire prepped and ready. Very organised. Quite awkward this bit, combination of lying on your belly and kneeling across. And then we're almost done. So as the last bit goes in, I shall thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.